y'all, happy Tuesday. Obviously I'm not there, but I'm gonna run through everything you need to do today because you have a test next class, and I want to make sure that you guys do really well because I've given you literally everything you need to be able to ace this thing. If you just follow all these directions. So first thing you need to start with is on page 39 of your notebook is this worksheet, Your Effects of the Age of Imperialism. You need to go through and finish filling out this chart right here. You don't need to do the backside. It's really not that big of a deal. That was more of just an extension activity if we had time, which didn't. But really the whole goal of looking at this worksheet is recognizing that imperialism benefits everybody. So you'll see that the first 5 are fairly negative. This one's both, but the rest, like 2 through 5 are negative, and then 6 through 8 are positive. And you need to know that because we get really caught up thinking that imperialism was all negative, but it did benefit everybody. Maybe not at the same time. So during imperialism, when it was actually happening, it benefited the Europeans. But after the Europeans left, the places that got imperialized benefited from all of the development that the Europeans did for them. So again, not really benefiting at the same time in the same time period, but ultimately there are positives for both the imperialist nation and the countries that were imperialized. So that information, when you get to Canvas, is in the Age of Imperialism box, and it's the effects of the imperialism PowerPoint right here. So you'll go there to finish that. When you're done with that, really you can just scroll down, or if you, just so that you're getting used to it, since it's what we usually do, when you scroll down, you'll go to the Unit 3 review box. And you need to press on the first link. So you'll just go through these in order. So you'll start with imperialism around the world maps. And these maps go along with the top of here. And really, this is just to practice your map skills. The main thing to, oh, no, I don't want to do that. The main thing I wanted to review is looking at maps number 2 and number 3. Those are important, mainly just because I'm pretty sure you're going to see this one on your test, if I remember correctly. But you need to know, like on your worksheet, it asks for C, which nation had the largest empire in the world? So that's obviously this map. Make sure you're looking at the key. Make sure you're also thinking about the question. It says European nation. Everybody automatically says Russia. But Russia is technically an Asian country, so that cannot be the answer. Also, watch out for all of these light gray areas. People see Turkey and they're like, oh, it's Turkey. Look how much Turkey has. But this right here is actually just Turkey. The light gray means that there is nobody imperializing in that area. Also, Turkey is also an Asian country. So make sure you're watching out for the questions and the way they're asking it. The European country that's seen the most, so this is Europe right here, is going to be the United Kingdom. It's over here, all up in here, down here, and in Australia. This map also does a similar thing. It talks about on your paper which European nation had the largest empire in Asia. When you're looking at it, you see the pink and everyone's like, oh, it's independent. But again, it asks you, 1, the European country. 2, on the key, it says independent. That means that it's not imperialized. So that can't even be your answer. Great Britain is going to be the biggest country that has an influence on Asia during this time period. So make sure you knew that. Once you've fixed or answered all the rest of the questions, filled those in, you can press next, and that's going to take you to these imperialism cartoons. So starting off with this one, you may or may not need to know how to scam this cartoon. And if you go to page 35 in your notebook, you should have that blue half sheet taped on there, and which tells you how to do scams. It tells you what each letter means, and it also gives you all of the answers to that political cartoon. So symbols, pizza equals land in China, pizza equals land in China. So make sure that you are, make sure that you know exactly how to do this. You literally are given everything you need right here on this piece of paper. So review that. The next thing I need you to do is on page 40 of your notebook, I need you to write down this sentence, or talking about what the white man's burden is. This sentence goes with this political cartoon. So we looked at this when we were doing our political cartoon analyzation 2 class periods ago, but we didn't really have a chance to go over it. And I need you to know what this one's talking about. So the white man's burden is the Europeans' justification for why it was okay that they went into Africa and India and China and like Central America and took over these people's lands and took all their natural resources. So the idea is that all of these different rocks they're climbing over are hurdles these groups of people would have to get over to be able to get to civilization or to be as developed as the Europeans are. So the Europeans were like, well, they're never going to be able to do that without us. So we'll put them on our backs and we'll carry them there. In the real world sense, the way that they were putting them on their backs was they went in and they developed where they live, or they developed in the imperial nations, the nations that got imperialized. And their payment for doing that was one, helping them because, they're just so kind. And then two, all of the natural resources that they stole. So talking through this, we need to recognize that this white man's burden idea is their justification. It doesn't make it okay that they did that. It's the same way that like if you ever do something wrong, then and you like think in your head of an excuse of like, oh, well, it's okay I did that because of reasons X, Y, and Z. Like, yeah, okay, that makes it okay. That makes it okay. That's exactly what they're doing here. They know it's wrong. They shouldn't go in and take over these people's lands and steal their natural resources. But down here it says like they were obligated to improve them. So make sure that you understand that one, this is like a very skewed perspective, and it's not something that we see. It does not make it okay that they did this. This is just us trying to understand the European side. So again, write that on page 40. Also, you'll need to know how to scams this one because again, you may or may not see it on your test. Once you've looked over all of these, you can press next and you're going to get to the PowerPoint that goes along with your study guide, if my computer loads. So when you're going through this literally, this is your study guide here. It's all fill in the blank. It's pretty easy. The words that you need to write in the blanks are all underlined for you. So you just go through and fill that in. This is not on your study guide, but you're going to want to review this quote and then make sure you know that this goes with it. So you're not going to see this on your study guide, but you do need to know it. You do need to know this is the answer. You're going to see it again on your quizzes review, like game. So make sure you know this. One thing to note here, it says circle the map legend. A legend is a key, so you should circle this right here. And then for this one, it says underline clues that reflect the author's view of the impact. I would underline this sentence that says they have introduced Western education, that say in touch with modern thought, modern sciences, modern life. They've built an administration, framed wise laws, established courts of justice. So the administration that frames laws and establishes courts, that's going to be your government. So the Englishmen bring the people of India education and government. That's important. On your slideshow, it gives you this sentence. Make sure you also write, not only should you underline, but you should also write this down. Lastly, you have the grab bag scams right here. Spoiler alert, these are your answers. I'd make sure that you write all of this down and make sure you know it. And that's just my hint to you. So you can either utilize the resources we give you or not, but you're going to really want to know all this. So make sure you do that. When you're done with you're filling out your study guide, this should be taped on to page 40. And you can press next. And you can go to your quizzes. So this is the game. I would play it a few times. If you get something wrong, make sure you go back and actually review all of these questions, review which answer is the correct answer. And once you've done that, I would just study, or your project's due next class. So if you haven't done that, once you finish all of this, you need to go and actually work on your project. Remember that if you don't turn it in on time, it is a 0 that you cannot make up. So even if you really study hard on the study guide and you get a 100 on your test, if you get a 0 on that project, that's an averages to a 50. So you're still getting a formal F in the grade book, which means your grade's going to go down. So make sure that you are working on that project and getting that done. I mean, I'll be back on Wednesday, so you can ask me questions, but do not risk it and think you're going to get 100, and so you're not going to do your project because you're going to hurt yourself, because you can't make that back up. So everything you need should be on Canvas. If you need help, ask Ms. Shampry, but it should all be there for you. Study this quizzes, study your study guide. It may or may not be every single thing you need for that test. But I will see you guys maybe tomorrow, but definitely on Thursday. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys soon.